Hi there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
The Center for Community Engaged Learning has been a very special part of my overall Fordham experience. Since coming to Fordham, I've always really wanted to get to know and to build genuine relationships with the people in my surrounding community, both within the university and beyond. And working with the Center for Community Engaged Learning has granted me lots of opportunities to do just that, to meet and connect with people both within the university community and within our larger community.
My name is Maddie Hilf, and I'm a rising junior at Fordham College Lincoln Center. The Center for Community Engaged Learning has deeply impacted me because they were the office that first introduced me to the Global Outreach Program. GO has been a completely integral part of my college experience and of my life. I first became involved with it when I applied for and was accepted to the team of GO Ghana my freshman year, and then I participated in GO El Salvador my sophomore year. And after this experience, I decided to apply for the student-led board at Lincoln Center, and I served on that as secretary for a semester, and then next semester I will be programming coordinator. And GO has been so important to me because it's introduced me to such strong, meaningful communities and connections, standing in solidarity with communities globally and domestically, as well as created lifelong friendships with my peers involved at Fordham.
I've participated in Global Outreach, College Access, and various other Center for Community Engaged Learning-led discussions, programs, and symposiums. And in all of these experiences, I've met so many great peers, professors, professionals, community members who have all really expanded my perspective on various topics pertaining to what community involves, whether that community be Fordham, the Bronx, New York, or across national borders. So to sum it up, my experience with the Center for Community Engaged Learning has meant that I've had the opportunity to become a more conscious and involved community member. And for that, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Fordham Ccel, otherwise known as the Center for Community Engaged Learning, is just that. The center really encapsulates the idea of being engaged. All the programs under the Ccel umbrella, especially the Urban Plunge program, one that I'm heavily involved with, in my experience really works to bridge the gap between Fordham and the broader community surrounding it. One of the main Ignatian tenets that I strive to live by and really see reflected within Ccel is being a man and woman for, and most importantly, with others. And really, it's a community for anyone to join who wants to form a deeper kinship within Fordham and beyond.
Hello, my name is Father Michael McCarthy. I am a Jesuit and I serve Fordham as the Vice President for Mission Integration and Planning. Fordham's Center for Community Engaged Learning was founded to promote connections between Fordham undergraduates, faculty, as well as members of our local and global communities. Our goal is to promote real, mutually beneficial and sustainable partnerships that contribute to the education of our own students, assist faculty to incorporate community engaged learning into their own teaching, and to advance the capacity of Fordham University to be a good neighbor in the Bronx and the area around Lincoln Center and in other places throughout the globe. As a Jesuit university, we aspire to educate students who will become good citizens and leaders in their communities in the world. And we want Fordham itself as an institution to be a good citizen and neighbor as well. There are various ways that the Center for Community Engaged Learning advances its mission. We have programs, for instance, in Global Outreach, Urban Plunge, which are educational experiences that place students directly in the community and allow them to relate, reflect, and grow through their own experiences. And through outreach to Fordham faculty, we're trying to expand student opportunities to take courses that link the subject of the class with real and positive connections to the community outside Fordham. Most people learn through the back and forth between experience and reflection. The key value of Jesuit education is to provide opportunities where students can have a deeper academic understanding of their context, have an active experience of it, reflect on it in a disciplined fashion, and make a commitment to action that will have positive long-term effects. That is the real hard work of social justice, which our President, Father McShane, likes to call bothered excellence. We hope your experiences through the center are good, positive, and transformative, and we are certainly grateful for your interest in Fordham's Center for Community Engaged Learning. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Julie Gaffney, the Director of Administration and Academic Development in Fordham's Center for Community Engaged Learning. So what exactly is community engaged learning and why do we do it? Here's a definition adapted from several leaders in the field, including Michigan State and Stanford. Community engaged learning combines academic coursework with the application of institutional resources to partner with communities. Through engagement that addresses societal interests identified by a community, intentional integration of learning objectives co-created with community partners, student preparation and ongoing reflection, clearly articulated benefits for students, community, and campus partners, and opportunities to critically examine social issues and situate the self within a community setting. Fordham Center for Community Engaged Learning takes an asset-based approach. Asset-based community development considers local assets to be the primary building blocks of sustainable community development. Building on the skills of local residents, the power of local associations, and the supportive functions of local institutions, asset-based community development draws upon existing community strengths to build stronger, more sustainable communities for the future. At Fordham, we believe that experiential learning and community engagement will promote better learning outcomes for our students. We work to promote social responsibility and civic engagement, and we are committed to supporting a culture of community engagement that transforms how we live and work in our neighborhoods and how we relate to our community partners.
My name is Roxanne De La Torre, and I'm the Director of Campus and Community Engagement with the Center for Community Engaged Learning at Fordham University. I want to thank you for your desire to learn more about our center, and hope that this video will help you gain a deeper understanding about the many ways in which you can get involved with us and our community partners in the future. The field of community engaged learning in higher education isn't one that is new, but it's gained a lot of interest and attention as institutions have become more intentional about how they interact with their surrounding neighborhoods and communities. It's a field that is constantly evolving, particularly as the political landscape shifts, social justice is more explicitly woven into institutional mission, and civic engagement in higher ed becomes more of a priority across the board. Many institutions use terms such as engagement, service, volunteering, service learning, community engaged learning, and civic participation interchangeably. You may also hear some institutions make reference to being an anchor institution, having a place-based initiative, or being awarded the distinction of Changemaker Campus. All of these descriptors call attention to the various ways each institution chooses to lean into their community and civic engagement commitments in their own way. Oftentimes, an institution's intentional choice to use certain words and not others defines the work that they do and specifies the values they espouse. Here at Fordham, for example, we have committed ourselves to the work of community engagement, and we sparingly use service and volunteerism to describe what we do through the Center for Community Engaged Learning. At the Ccel, we are committed to centering anti-racist pedagogy and a spirit of solidarity rooted in mutually beneficial relationships. And thus, we have tried our best to be intentional in our use of language. Service and volunteering can at times heavily connote paternalism, voyeurism, and dependency, and are thus very limited descriptors for the types of engagement we wish to foster. Our hope is that by being intentional with the usage of the term community engagement, we may regularly commit ourselves to the ongoing nature of this work. Engagement promises a sense of sustainability and commitment. It prioritizes relationships, and it also levels the playing field. Whereas the terms serving or volunteering naturally create a dichotomy between a group of haves and another group of have-nots, engagement allows each individual to enter into the discourse knowing that while we each have something to contribute, we each also have space to learn, to grow, and evolve through our interaction with one another.
Hi, I'm Tim Wood, and I'm a professor in the Department of Communication and Media Studies. And this past year, I was a member of the Faculty Work Group for Engaged Scholarship, which is basically a collection of professors from all around the university who get together to think about how we can make our courses more connected to the communities around us. The first question that sort of comes up when we talk about community engaged learning is, how are these courses different than every other course at Fordham? In a lot of ways, they're going to be very similar. You're going to do readings, you are going to have discussions. There are three core elements that separate these and really make them a distinct kind of learning experience. First and foremost, you will be stepping out to forge deep and meaningful connections with communities beyond these campus walls. What this looks like is going to be different for every kind of community engaged class you take. You might partner with a local school. You might go out and work with local businesses or patients at a local hospital. In my class, my students develop communications plans with local NGOs in sort of partnership with each other. Second, in terms of elements that sort of separate a community engaged class, is what we call writing across the curriculum. And this basically means that at least 2 writing assignments from your class are going to focus on how to make you an expert in your field, focusing on practical, usable kinds of knowledge to sort of develop the expertise you will need. Third, and finally, in terms of what sets these courses apart, is reflection, the way that is built into the structure of these classes. You will have time and assignments that ask you to think about the ethics of what you're doing, to think about ways to better partner with the communities that you're trying to support, to think about what you can offer and what you can learn as you sort of step beyond the campus walls.
I'm Stephanie Ashley Gavon. I'm the volunteer coordinator at POTS, Part of the Solution, which is right across the street from Fordham University, and just wanted to share a little bit about our relationship with the Center for Community Engaged Learning and a lot of our partnerships with Fordham through that. One of our partnerships involves Martin Carney's social justice class, and so we have a lot of students who come and volunteer here. And one of the greatest things I think about those partnerships is the understanding and growth of a lot of the students through understanding like what service means, especially service in the community that they live in. Whether or not they're born here or whether or not they're kind of just here for school, it's still really important to know what's going on outside of the gates of Fordham.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Parmack. I'm the Academic Dean for first-year students here at Fordham College at Rose Hill. And I'd like to speak to you today about academic partnerships with Ccel, the Center for Community Engaged Learning. For me, I always thought that the hallmark of a good Jesuit education is a focus on the entire person. This holistic education, one soul at a time. And I often explain it to my students and other colleagues in a very simple way. Every day, a good Jesuit education should challenge your head intellectually, your heart in terms of your belief systems, and your hands, so that you're making visible changes in the world around us with us embedded in it. Challenging your head, your heart, and your hands in real and tangible ways. And for me, that's the best way to explain our partnerships with the Ccel office, because we're trying to do exactly those things. For example, this past year, a number of my students and I worked on some initiatives with neighborhood Bronx organizations. And Ccel helped us to recognize the linkages between what we're studying in the classroom and what's going on outside of the classroom. So for instance, we didn't just simply study an issue or a concern in the neighborhood. We actually went to the town hall meeting and met our neighborhood friends to get a sense of what they're deliberating over, to get a sense of why it's relevant. And for me, if something is relevant, that's where the Jesuit education segue comes in. If it's relevant, then it becomes revelatory. It's something that actually makes a difference in everybody's worldview.
Folks on the margins only ask us to receive them. One of the things we talk a lot about here is how do we serve with the knowledge that there's no difference between us and them, it's only we. Right, and so it's been really great to debrief with Fordham students about that, and especially with Fordham students who have that understanding or who come with craving that knowledge of how best do I be myself with without the kind of taking away those barriers of what might separate me or what might be an obstacle from serving with the members of our community. So really just wanted to thank you guys, to thank you all for the partnership that we have and this continued level of growth in dismantling the Savory complex and understanding what it's like to actually serve with those on the margins, which I think Fordham University students, especially those in Martin Carney's social justice class and anybody a part of the Ccel program, do really well. So I hope to continue seeing you at POTS.
My name is Tim Buffard, and I currently am the project manager in the Office of Mission Integration and Planning and a member of the President's Office staff. I'm also a 2016 graduate of Fordham College at Rosehill. I'm here today to talk specifically about Mission Integration and Planning, also known as MIP. MIP is one of several distinct units of Fordham University's administration. You may have heard of other areas, such as student affairs or academics. Our chief goal is to positively impact the working lives of all students, faculty, and staff through pastoral, spiritual, intellectual, and developmental programs that make real Fordham's Jesuit, Catholic mission and identity. So, what exactly is Fordham's mission? In short, Fordham is committed to the discovery of wisdom and the transmission of learning through education of the highest quality. We foster the intellectual, moral, and religious development of our students and prepare them for leadership in a global society. And how does MIP help Fordham to achieve this mission? Basically, it's our job to make sure that we are working towards this mission each and every day. And we're made up of 3 departments that help to carry out this important work. First, campus ministry is focused on providing spiritual guidance and the religious sacraments for members of our community. Second, the Center on Religion and Culture is tasked with creating public-facing events, mostly based out of our Lincoln Center campus, highlighting the work of authors, filmmakers, and others who are at the forefront of issues at the intersection of faith and public life. And lastly, of course, we have the Center for Community Engaged Learning. Ccel works to connect the communities that surround our campuses with the classroom. By taking a Community Engaged Learning class, you'll work directly with our partners, like POTS or Cardinal Hayes High School, as a significant part of your class. Or you can participate in a global outreach project and meet our international and domestic partners in places like New Orleans or Rwanda. In conclusion, we and MIP cannot help Fordham carry out its mission without Ccel. As a Jesuit university, Fordham is committed to research and education that assist in the alleviation of poverty, the promotion of justice, the protection of human rights, and respect for the environment. The mission statement closes with, Fordham is privileged to share a history and destiny with New York City. The university recognizes its debt of gratitude to the city and its own responsibility to share its gifts for the enrichment of our city, our nation, and our world. This is what MIP does, and it is a part of who we are.
is Olga, and I'm a Bronx native, Fordham alum, and the founder of a nonprofit called Strive Higher, Inc. The history of the Bronx and the Lincoln Center area share a complex and racially divided past. It is important to learn the history of places in order to understand the current circumstances that individuals are experiencing in those areas. The history of how places were developed informs us of the inequities and injustices that communities have endured. For example, the urban renewal project plans that were spearheaded by Robert Moses in the mid-20th century displaced close to 1 million individuals, many who were Black and poor. These renewal projects created places like Lincoln Center, the United Nations, Fordham University, Pratt, and Long Island University. These displacements led many families to cramp in small apartments and move up north to places like Harlem and the Bronx, which deepened segregation. In the Bronx, Moses paved the way for the Cross Bronx Expressway, which displaced 60,000 individuals. The Bronx has endured many years of struggles, but it has also blossomed through the dedication of individuals who believe in the Bronx. Young adults have played a key role in the success of the Bronx through youth activism. Organizations like Save Our Streets, Youth for Justice Reform, and Youth Food Advocates are fighting against gun violence, juvenile justice reform, and systemic changes in New York City food systems. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted deep-seated inequities in healthcare for communities of color and amplified social and economic factors that contribute to poor health outcomes. Deep-seated inequities in education, job access, access to quality healthcare have once again been brought to the forefront. However, the Bronx has been dealing with these inequities for a very long time. COVID-19 has just worsened these inequities. Gentrification is another issue that many community individuals are fighting against. Issues such as high apartment rents, which displaces community members, many whose families have lived in the Bronx for many generations, closure of mom and pop stores due to high rents, and the addition of new transportation services like the Bronx Ferry contribute to the gentrification issue. And this is where students like yourselves and stakeholders like Fordham University's Community for Engaged Learning can contribute to the fight towards social justice. You can give back by volunteering with community organizations, supporting local entrepreneurs and businesses. For example, instead of purchasing food from a chain restaurant, purchase food from small local restaurants. Your contribution will support the community you're a part of. The Bronx is a place where there have been many obstacles for individuals, but it is also a melting pot of individuals who are ready to reclaim the future of the Bronx. And I hope you join that fight.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Rotondo, and I'm the Assistant Director of Immersions and Student Leadership for the Center for Community Engaged Learning here at Fordham, and I'd like to spend a few moments sharing with you about a program we offer named Global Outreach, or GO. Each GO project focuses on service and immersion-based learning through the lens of working to create solidarity, fostering spirituality, and engaging issues of poverty and injustice while connecting local and global realities within the Ignatian tradition. Fordham students learn about various issues of social, economic, political, and environmental injustice while living a simple lifestyle that fosters communal and spiritual growth. GO invokes the Jesuit tenet of magis, the Latin for more, which encourages our students to strive to be better and to seek to go deeper. GO seeks to push their bounds of thinking beyond their comfort zones by encouraging students to learn about systems of inequality and injustice, and then act as leaders grounded in conscientious discernment to act competently and confidently for the betterment of the common good beyond the time frame of their immersion and their time with us here at Fordham. GO creates a space for students to directly and tangibly engage with our university's mission, considering the question of what does it mean to be a leader in a global society. By participating in an immersion project with Global Outreach, students are critically examining these questions in the context of the immersion, but also beginning to unpack what that question means for them as civic leaders and responsible citizens of Fordham and the world. Our project leaders will work with the Fordham staff and our community partners while on site to facilitate reflections that are grounded in Ignatian spirituality, encouraging students to reflect on their days and training them to bring intentionality to each encounter. We sent teams of students consisting of a student leader, a chaperone, and approximately 10 undergraduate students to live, work, and learn with partner organizations throughout the United States and in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and in Europe. These teams travel over the winter, spring, and summer breaks and will undergo a period of formation during the semester prior. Formation is grounded in understanding systems of injustice and anti-oppressive learning while being shaped around our 4 pillars, which are spirituality, simple living, social justice, and community. Teams are selected approximately 12 weeks in advance of the departure, and teams are expected to meet once a week for 10 weeks, with each meeting being around 2 hours long, in formation for their immersion. While on the immersion, students will be hosted by a partner organization of the university and will work with local organizations in their specific contexts to engage with our broader community. Some students may even do a homestay, spending time living with a family in these communities. The university has and maintains a number of partnerships across the United States and within our international community, for which we're grateful and with whom we work closely to build out experiences of immersion-based community-engaged learning for our students. Some examples of projects include, but are not limited to, first, an immersion with Crispas in San Salvador, El Salvador, where students will walk in the shoes of the Jesuit martyrs and understand in a robust way the core of Jesuit education's commitment to cultivating spaces of intellectual rigor grounded in curiosity, wisdom, and learning. A second example is a civil rights immersion project built out with our partners in Aberdeen, Mississippi, where students will visit civil rights museums and learn about the civil rights history of our country while walking in the footsteps of the likes of James Meredith, Martin Luther King Jr., and Emmett Till. And a third example would be our Bronx immersion, built out with POTS, Part of the Solution, a broad-based social service agency located just across the street from our Rose Hill campus. Students will serve meals and help out at the food pantry while immersing themselves to learn about our community in a robust way. Thank you, and we hope to have you on a Global Outreach project soon.
Hello, my name is Patrick Sawyer, and currently I am a senior in Fordham College at Rose Hill. Throughout my 4 years at Fordham, I have been lucky enough to participate in Fordham's pre-orientation program, Urban Plunge, 3 times. I participated first when I was an incoming freshman as a plunger, then in my junior year as an Urban Plunge assistant, and now in my senior year as one of 6 Urban Plunge captains. Urban Plunge, in case you do not already know, is a pre-orientation program run by the Center for Community Engaged Learning that is geared toward incoming freshmen and is designed for students to discover, address, and break down several of the stereotypes that they may have about the Bronx. Urban Plunge's approach to educating its plungers is diverse, multifaceted, and deeply personal. Throughout Plunge, with the help of our Urban Plunge assistants, captains, staff, and community partners, we walk our plungers through the history of the Bronx and Fordham's place within it. We encourage students to think critically about Fordham's role within the Bronx and what Fordham, as an institution, could work to improve upon. After learning about Bronx history, we take our plungers to various destinations throughout the Bronx to participate in service not just for, but with members of the Bronx community. Here, our Urban Plunge assistants work to motivate the plungers to make community engagement and volunteerism a habit, rather than a once-in-a-while practice. Finally, the Urban Plunge assistants guide plungers on trips to various cultural and historical sites throughout the city. At every step of the way, the Urban Plunge experience is deepened and enhanced for all involved through large group and small group discussion. In these discussions, students are able to lay bare their questions, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. These discussions, difficult though they may be, help every participant come to terms with some of the hard-to-accept realities and unfortunate truths that we must grapple with as morally aware, Jesuit-educated citizens. Fortunately, the bonds built throughout Plunge provide plungers, Urban Plunge assistants, and captains alike with the network and support necessary to tackle daunting social issues head-on. Urban Plunge, without a doubt, has been one of the most integral pieces of my Fordham experience, and I know that the same is true for many other students who have participated in Plunge.
Urban Plunge lit a fire in me, as it has for hundreds of other students, to engage meaningfully in fellowship and volunteerism throughout my 4 years at Fordham. It is the very definition of service learning, and for many, it is the start of a life dedicated to being men and women for and with others.